You're looking at a lake of toxic pig feces and urine, the size of 4 football fields. That's because thousands upon thousands of pigs are inside of these buildings. Their waste falls through slats in the concrete floor, and it's flushed directly into this giant open-air cesspool. How many of these kinds of factories are there? In North Carolina alone, there are over 2,000, and the consequences are disastrous.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to my PSA on factory farming. We're just going to jump right into it. First thing, what is a factory farm? A factory farm, also known as a CAFO, which stands for Concentrated Animal Feeding Operation, is basically the place where intensive industrialized livestock production is done for human consumption. There are obviously many reasons why factory farming is just straight up terrible, and we're going to talk about a few of the big ones, starting with its impact on our environment. First off, there's the pollution. 37% of the very harmful greenhouse gas methane in our atmosphere comes exclusively from factory farming. Then there's water pollution. 75% of water quality issues in America are caused by factory farms. A second harmful impact on the environment is deforestation. Millions of acres of forestry have been cut down in America to make way for livestock feed crops, which create harmful monocultures and erode the soil over time. And lastly, on a global scale, industrial agriculture takes up 70% of our fresh water supply. Now that we've talked about the environment, let's talk about the human health consequences of factory farming.
I have asthma, I have sinus, I have sarcoidosis, that's the bacteria, and I have a pacemaker, which is sick sinus syndrome. But mostly everybody in this neighborhood got asthma or either cancer. My neighbor there died from cancer probably just last year. My nephew down the street, he's got cancer. He's in terminal cancer, stage 4. He's not a smoker, not a drinker.
This woman, Renee Miller, lives in Duplin County, North Carolina, right next to a factory farm. When the cesspools of waste get too full, factory farms spray it in the air to get rid of it. Extremely harmful compounds such as ammonia are released into the air and breathed in by neighboring communities, causing serious health risks. What's even worse is most factory farms are located near low-income Black and Hispanic communities.
And in most of these area, hog houses and turkey house is in the Black area or the Hispanic area. It's either or.
Do you think it's also a civil rights issue?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now that we've talked about the environmental impacts and the health impacts and the blatant racism, we can move on to the most obvious reason why factory farming is awful: the animal cruelty. The average cow should have about 2 acres to itself, but that obviously isn't happening on factory farms. And obviously, calves shouldn't be separated from their mothers, but they are. And the milk that's meant for that calf ends up on our grocery store shelves. The reality is, pigs are just as smart as dogs, and it's horrifying to us to imagine those warehouses filled with golden retrievers. They don't want us to know that the chickens that are raised in factory farms are so deformed and weak that they can't even stand. They don't want you to know that they can qualify as free-range for letting their chickens out for 5 minutes. Okay, so now we understand how terrible factory farming is, but what do we do about it? Well, we could all become vegans. Yeah, some vegans can be annoying, but they're also very impressive because veganism is very difficult and also timely and costly. That's why many turn to vegetarianisms. And as you can see, just 1 day a week of vegetarianism can change a lot. When we do buy and eat meat, make sure it's organic and local and not the factory farmed gross stuff. Commit to more environmentally friendly alternatives like oat milk or the Impossible Burger. In the upcoming election, vote for officials you know will take a stance against factory farming. And lastly, whether you eat animal products or not, be conscientious of the cruelty and consequences behind our everyday pleasures. Personally, I used to eat meat all the time. I mean, I was practically a carnivore until I up and decided to become vegetarian because I realized that everything I've just shared with you all goes against my own personal moral code. I truly do believe that my life is equal to any other life and that these animals deserve a chance at happiness just like you and I. In conclusion, factory farming does much more harm than good, and I think we should all work towards a future without it.